to look at this one again.
Great tackle. And he was 5 yards behind Pugh as that ball was...
Hey guys, welcome to our next episode. My name is 1994 Kid, and we're here to, to discuss a little more, about soccer. This is going to be a special interview because I already met him, spoke with him for a few, and I think this is going to be a great interview. Welcome to the new episode. So here we go. Welcome to, to our house, to our place.
Thank you.
How you doing, man?
I'm good. Life is good, man.
So I know your name is Will.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about yourself, Will.
Yeah, so I was born in Boston, grew up in Medford for my whole life, still currently live in Medford, but that might change soon. So like my upbringing, I had two parents that came from Haiti. Both of them were born in Haiti, moved to Boston separately, but in their 20s. Grew up here, have an older sister, kind of just been around the Medford area, have some great friends that have been like the foundation for everything around here. And yeah, it's just kind of been up from there.
Okay.
Nice childhood, yeah.
So you mentioned family.
Yeah.
How are you with your family? Like, as in like growing up with your family, how was that like?
I mean, you don't really have a reference for family until you start going to see other people's families. But I love my family. And I mean, to this day, I still love and cherish everything we have together. I'm a big family person. Just in my immediate family, it's my mom, my dad, me, and my sister. But on my mom's side, we have a couple of relatives that, I mean, they lived in Georgia for a while, but then they moved up here, and then everyone else is kind of based around Massachusetts. So, and our house was always the central point. So whether it was like my mom's side of the family or my dad's side of the family, like everyone was coming through our house. Yeah, and in our house, it's like me up top, my grandmother below. So it's just a big community of Haitians at all times. So it's like, you'd always see people come through, and family was always super important to us. Like my parents were, I mean, probably a little bit of like, immigrant mentality coming in. It's like they're very focused on what we have in our nucleus and making sure that we're good and making sure that we're always doing the things that we can to be going better. So making sure that the people you hang out with are correctly, the relatives that they bring around, like the influences have to be good,
I hear that.
So it's always nice being with the family because they're just good people and you feel like it's home.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that because my family is the same way as well.
Yeah.
I remember growing up when I was 12 when I came here as well. And I know you weren't. You didn't.
Yeah, I was
come
born
here.
here.
You were born here, but when I came here, I was 12, so I used to live with my aunt. And any friend that I would have come over, she would like kind of like interview them to see like if they're good people or not.
But did you go over other people's houses or no?
No.
Exactly, same with me. So everyone, when I met people, first they'd meet my mom.
Yep.
My mom would get a feel for them.
Yep.
They would come to my house. Anyone was welcome to come to my house.
Yeah.
And still to this day, like among my friends, like my house is kind of a place where it's like, all the memories we had here. We'll go back and look at Snapchat memories. Like people were always welcome to come to my house. But I couldn't, depending on the friend. There's some friends like I've known for my whole life. That was cool going over to their houses. But for new people, my parents were a bit more hesitant letting me go to their house. And definitely no sleepovers. No sleepovers ever.
I was just about to bring that up because I don't know. I think they watch the news and they see like things that happen. But I mean, I don't see any problem with that. But I mean, I guess I have to agree in a way because like having people sleep over can render, some stuff might happen. Who knows? I think they were just trying to watch out for us in a way, which I still don't understand till this day. But I mean, it is what it is.
Like you said, I think definitely when I was younger, I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
It used to drive me crazy. It made me so mad. But like, you get older, and like we talked about, like you get older and you kind of see things a bit differently. Where it's like, maybe they were right on this.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't have seen it. And there's no way that like 7-year-old me would understand what 40, 50-year-old them is thinking. But like looking back on it, like if you let your kid go wherever. Not saying something bad will happen, but you open yourself up to something like that happening.
Yeah. So. I think that's what it is. Cause I think when you give your kid the freedom, I think like they start, since they're kids, they can't make their own decisions. So like, let's say like somebody else on the street offer them something. If you don't teach those kids like to say no to certain things, you know, we're as kids, we're curious, you know, we're always gonna wanna know what's behind that door, or what's the candy that this grown-up is giving us, and we don't know. And the thing is like, this will render us to be like, become delinquent, sometimes criminal, you know, things like that. I'm not saying all of us
of course
is in that position, but some of us fall short in that. And I also think like Haitian parents, they don't explain things when...
No, it's just, this is it,
that's it.
This is what I'm telling you.
Exactly.
I'm not going to tell you why, but this is it, all right? Now go away.
Exactly. I think we should explain to the kid.
Yeah, I agree.
I have a child myself,
yeah.
and I know she's like, not old enough, but like I have to explain to her, because she's very emotional, I have to explain to her in a way that like she could calm herself, so she knows why I'm telling her she shouldn't do that, you know? Like, you don't just tell a kid like, hey, don't, if you go down the stairs, hold the handrail. And then if the kid says why, oh no, because I told you to.
Yeah.
And now the kid's like, okay, you know what, I'm not gonna hold the handrail, I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah,
and then the kid falls, and you be like, yep, I told you to hold the handrail.
Yeah.
Now look what happened to you.
Yeah.
And it's just like, nah, I just don't think, I just think like you need a little bit more explanation. But let's get back to the topic. So you play soccer, you know, you went to university, and tell me about, you know, your inspiration to what got you into this, you know, to what got you into this position that you are right now.
So I mean, growing up in the US, like, it's shifted now, and I think especially as we've gotten older specifically, like, you see a lot more kids playing soccer here.
Yeah.
In Medford specifically, I would say soccer was kind of one of the sports, you know, like, my neighbor's actually the youth Pop Warner coach for football, and he would say to my parents all the time, he's like, oh, I think Will should play football, like he'd be a perfect wide receiver, cornerback, whatever. But both my parents are from Haiti, so like, like American football is just like, all they see is like people crashing into each other.
Yeah.
You know, like as we'll go on, I've had a bunch of injuries. American football is probably not the sport for me, but my mom, nothing to do with sports. Doesn't care about sports, could care less about them. My dad was really into soccer, so like kind of like I feel like most fathers do with their sons, like they kind of give them a little bit of their interests, you know? So like I think I took to soccer because my sister was a soccer player and I just wanted to beat my sister in something. But then when my dad saw like my passion for it, he would be like, oh, you know, like, you know, Junior, you should, and for reference, my parents call me Junior because my dad has the same name as me. The only people that call me Will are like people I've met in school. I mean, even some of my friends call me Junior, but like when I'm in the house, it's always Junior. So he'd be like, oh, Junior, you know, like you should watch this Ronaldinho thing, and I just took to it. Like my sister, I think, liked playing the sport, but didn't care as much about things behind, like she liked like certain players like Ronaldo, obviously. And she liked Man United because of Ronaldo, but like she was more focused in on like, I like this individual player. Like I wanted to know about everything. Like my real like introduction was like Ronaldinho. I loved Ronaldinho. Like I was obsessed with the guy. Like I would go home, I'd come back from school, I'd go on like the desktop, and you know the video of like Ronaldinho when he gets the gold cleats and he's in the Camp Nou and he just hits the crossbar. I remember when I found out it was fake, it crushed me because I thought this guy actually would just da-da-dum, bang, da-da-dum, bang, and I would watch and I'd just be like, geez, like I want to be like this guy. I want to do everything.
Is that the video where he was like shooting the ball, but like he pretended like he didn't want the ball to go inside the net, and then, but like he kept hitting the pole. Is that the video?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like a Nike commercial where, and like there's a couple of those Nike commercials that happened in like the early 2000s that are like core memories.
Yes,
like Joga Benito, all that stuff. Like I loved it. So they give him this case. It's a gold case, and it's got the gold Nike Tiempos in it, and I mean, he's just like, oh yeah, like nice, whatever. So then he puts the cleats on, starts doing like Ronaldinho stuff. He's juggling all the crazy tricks, and then from different things, he'd be like juggle, volley, crossbar, perfectly back to him, chest, juggle, volley, crossbar, puts it on the ground, crossbar, and I'm just like, this guy is unbelievable. I mean, it came out that he was fake. He's still unbelievable.
Yeah.
But that video, like, I probably watched it for at least 5 times a week, you know, multiple times in that. So, like, if I watch, I'm saying once a week, I probably watched it like 7 times in that one day. But I would do that like 5 times a week. Like, I was obsessed with the guy. And then I remember they played, when he got transferred to AC Milan, they played a game at Gillette. It was AC Milan versus Inter Milan, and Ronaldinho was there. And thankfully, my dad was lucky enough to get us tickets. And
Nice.
I remember I went before the game, and I literally cried because, like, I'm like, you've been in Gillette. Like, I'm up. I'm not, like, close to the field. But I just see him warming up, and I, like, it was so much. Like, I cried, and I was so happy. My dad probably looked at me like, what the hell is gone with this kid? But, no, it was huge for me just, like, seeing the guy that I would look up for hours and hours on the computer, like, in the same building as me. It was crazy.
Flesh. Yeah.
And he was a big reason why I wanted to play soccer. Like, he just looked like he was having so much fun. He always had a smile on his face, like, and I just wanted that so badly. And then I would go against my sister, and my sister was another reason why I wanted to play, because, like, my sister's an exceptional person, you know, like, super smart, super personable, just, like, a very stand-up model person. And I couldn't beat her in school, you know? I wasn't smarter than her. Like, she just had a way with people. Like, she was good. But the one thing I could beat her in, or I thought I could beat her in, was soccer. So I just doubled down on that. And every time she went to practice, I didn't even play for a team. I'd go to practice. I'm practicing on the side where I saw Ronaldinho do. Then she comes out of practice, I'm trying to do it to her. And I'd go to her club practices, and it was just, that was just like what my childhood was.
You're like, who's those big little brother now?
Yeah, exactly. Well, she would like bully me sometimes, you know? So it's like, like I couldn't get her up on that, but I could get her up on soccer, you know? And then, you know, of course I get bigger and it's cool. My sister's great. She's not a bully, all right? She maybe bullied me once. She's not a bully. She's a great person. But soccer was the one thing I was I think I can share on this.
Based on everything you said, it looks like you were a big Brazilian fan.
Well, I feel like I mean, you know, as a Haitian, if you're supporting soccer, you like the Haitian national team, but every Haitian's a Brazil fan.
Go to Brazil,
You know, my dad, when he was talking to me, he'd say, oh, you know, the team from 1980s where you had Pele, or, you know, Zico, all these guys, and they're like, obviously I couldn't watch them. It's like black and white, even on YouTube back then. It's like, what, 140 pixels? He's like, that's Zico. I'm like, I can't even tell what this is.
You can't even tell what it looked like.
I put it in 360 at least, you know, but yeah, like he would always talk about these legends. And when I was growing up, that's when Brazil was like the top team. Like,
I agree.
Like, they didn't win in 2006, but I remember 2006 was my first World Cup that I really remember things. Of course, I was alive for 2002, where they did win, but I wasn't watching games. But 2006, I remember, like, that's when, I mean, you didn't have, like, VCR, so you couldn't watch it back. So I remember we taped all the games on, like, the Fujifilm tapes. And I would be at, like, school or something, and my dad would tape them for me, and I would just sit alone and just watch the games back. And I remember there was one day my mom made me, I was so mad this day, my mom made me go shopping with her at, like, the Burlington Mall. And it was when Brazil was playing France in that quarter or semifinals. And I just remember being so mad. My mom's like asking me questions about like what I want in like Macy's. And I'm like, I want to watch the game, Mom. Like, I want to be here right now. And then I came back to watch the game and it was broken. Like the tape didn't record for some reason. So I was crushed. But I was a huge Brazil fan growing up because of Ronaldinho. But then they also had like R9, Roberto Carlos, like I could go through that whole Kaká. I actually took a picture with Kaká one time.
Yeah, he's usually around.
He was, well, the Brazilians, they always would play a Brazil-Portugal game at Gillette. So, I mean, we could get into it later, but I remember we used to follow those guys. And they're going to be in Copley Square. We're going to Copley Square. And one of the kids would drive, and we just like run around Boston, like trying to find them. Yeah, exactly. And we found a lot of them. But I remember the only ones we didn't find were Neymar and Marcelo, because they were in like a car that was shuttling wherever. But then like you'd hear, because like they're the people there like trying to get the autographs so that they can sell them on.
Are they that big? Because I know here, if they're walking in the middle of the street, people not gonna really notice them like that. Because I know in Europe, if they have to get like security, but here, because I know like there's I don't know who it was that was walking on the street. Like he was like in Boston. Mm-hmm. Like nobody knew who it was, because you know soccer is not that big here. That's a bummer, knowing that even though it's like the highest paid professional team ever, and then they think like it's baseball or football, which it's not.
Yeah.
So like when you see those people, like if you know them, you're like, oh my goodness. But everybody's like, well, what's wrong with this person?
Exactly. That's exactly what happened. Because I mean, like being from like Medford, you have the guys from Somerville, guys from Everett.
Yeah.
Like there's a large portion, or like definitely the kids that I grew up playing with, like they weren't watching football. They weren't watching baseball. It was all soccer. Because even if they lived in America, in their household, it was only soccer. And it's funny you say that because I remember one time we went to the Copley to go see the Brazilian players. And literally we're right next to the Copley train station, Boston Public Library is to our left, and we're walking like kind of like going up towards like Dartmouth Street or something like that. And we're walking and Philippe Coutinho walks by us. And Philippe Coutinho's like, I'm like 15, I'm taller than Philippe Coutinho at the time.
You are?
Yeah, because he's like 5'8", 5'7", like he's a small guy. He's obviously like fit, but like I'm taller than him. And it's me and my 3 friends and we're like, yo, that's him. Like that's Coutinho. And like he's walking alone. No one knows who he is. Except for us 4 kids that are like shaking like, who's gonna go talk to him? Should I say it? Like, he doesn't speak English. Like, what? So we go up to him and we're like, excuse me, Mr. Coutinho, can we take a picture with you? And he's like, oh yeah, of course. And we take a picture with him. Yeah, he was playing at Liverpool at the time, so he spoke a little bit. Like, it's not like he knew no English. Like, he knew that we were like saying we want to take a picture. Took the picture with us, like nice, so nice. And we're like shaking, like looking at the picture on our iPhone. And then we look to our right and like someone's like, hey, like, who's the person you just took a picture with? And we're like, oh, let us tell you. Like he's this guy that plays for Liverpool. He's so good, this, that, and the other. And then they're like, oh, where'd he go? And we're like, he's right. And then we see, and there's like a crowd of people around him now because we kind of blew his cover. Like no one knew it was him until we made it known that it was him. And we're like, oh, like we feel so bad, but like I have this picture.
At least he got his picture.
Yeah. And then right after he came, there's David Luiz, Hulk, Douglas Costa. They just came. I think they went to like Fogo de Chao, the Brazilian steakhouse.
I know which one. Yep.
So they're all coming out of there, and like to us, firstly we know who they are, but like to anyone who like knows anything about like fashion or like expensive brands, these guys are wearing like Louboutin sneakers, the skinniest skinny jeans. Like they don't look like the regular people in Boston. You know, like they're all speaking Portuguese in the middle of the street. Like these aren't like your regular Bostonians, and they were so cool. Like David Luiz was so funny. I forget what he said. I was with one of my friends and he was like, oh, you know, tell this to Hulk. Like he brought us this, he's like, say this to Hulk. And we said it to him and they're just like such good vibes, so happy, nicest guys. But we got a picture with them too. But like, yeah, like it's just 4 of them in a group. Like if we all went out and just talked in a group on the street, like no one knows who we are. It's the same thing for them. Like no one knew who they were. So it must be kind of nice for them to come to the US.
Yeah. Well, my thing is growing up, I used to like Brazil, but because they kept winning. Yeah. Not like I'm a hater or anything like that, but because they kept winning, like I choose the other team, which was Argentina, which Messi at the time, he was pretty good.
Pretty good.
He was actually really good. Yeah. But he was young at the time. I remember when he had the long hair and everything like that, he would like cross people. Like he was the fastest in the team, I remember. But he could never get the team where he needed to get the team. I remember, was it 2002 or 2006? I don't remember which year it was. I remember it was Brazil versus Argentina. You know, and it's hey, when those 2 teams are playing, no one's on the street. Yeah, it's quiet. Yeah, and if Brazil win, you know, everyone's happy. You know. You get whatever you want. But if Argentina win, it's chaotic, which means like there'll be shootings and riot and everything. So it's like, I'm like, I want Argentina to win, but at the same time, I don't want the riot. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I get that. But I remember Brazil did win at that time, and then that was when I got a free haircut. Yeah, I was like, yep.
Funny enough, I actually saw. I've been so lucky to come across like players just like in public. And I remember, this is when I was a bit older. This is probably when I was like 16-ish. My sister was driving and she's like, oh, Junior, like I just saw this bus in Arlington Center. Cause there used to be an Argentinian spot called like Tango or like something. Maybe it began with an S in Arlington Center. and Argentina was playing a game for the Copa America, the 100-year anniversary. So, and I was actually going to that game. Like one of my teammates that played on my academy team, it was like his birthday or something, and he got 4 tickets to the game, and he took me. I mean, I was kind of confused why he took me, because like for me, like those are really expensive tickets.
Yeah.
Like if I were going with my family, like it would just be like me and my dad, maybe my sister if she was like really wanted to go. But like we wouldn't necessarily bring other people. But he got to go with 4 of his friends, and then his dad went with us too. And he took me. So I was going to go see Argentina, Venezuela at Gillette. And I don't know if it's before or after, but the Argentinian team was eating at the place in Arlington Center. So my sister texted me. She's like, yo, there's like a bus. It's got like all the Argentinian faces outside. Like, are they here right now? And I'm like, oh yeah, they're here. They're gonna be right there. I was like, oh, what are you doing? She was like getting groceries or something. I was like, Regine, like, can you please just drop me off there? So she takes me to Arlington Center. I'm the first person outside the restaurant. And they're like, what are you doing? I was like, I know they're in there. They're like, no, because they black out the shades. They put the thing on the door. No one can come in. I'm like, I know they're in there.
You're waiting for them to
Yeah, I'm waiting for them to come out. They're like, they're not in there. They're not here. Like, you should go do. I'm like, I know they're in there. They're like, okay, you're the first one. Don't tell anyone. I'm like, yeah, no problem. I think I waited out there for like 1 or 2 hours. And by the time that I'm standing there, more people are coming to see, and they put like barricades out. I could show you the video and everything. I could send it to you guys so you could put it in the, but I waited. It's like a summer day, so it's not a big deal to me, you know? And I waited, and then eventually they all come out. And it's like the guys that like, definitely the general public wouldn't know, but if you play soccer, like, you know, it's like, you'll see like an Ever Banega, you know, you'll see like Otamendi, even though Otamendi's a huge player, like people don't really care. Demichelis, you know, Zabaleta, they're all coming out. And then you're like going through the roster in your head, and you're like, okay, not Messi yet, not Messi yet. Aguero, cool, all right, not Messi. You know, Higuain, cool. Di Maria, cool, not Messi. You're just waiting. And then he comes out, and I'm like, the distance between like, I don't know, like I could throw a rock at him. I never would, but like I could like grab out and touch him, and he's there, and I'm just like, dang, like it's crazy. And then there have been other times, I mean, I don't know what the direction of the interview if you want to go into it. But there have been other times I've been around pros, and it's just like, it was always so motivating for me, because like I've always been a person where it's like I believe I can do a lot of things, but it's one thing to just believe it in your head, and it's another thing to see the goal in front of you. Like there was one time where my Bolts team, they partnered with Roma, so we got to go to a Roma training, and I was like 15, so I couldn't play, but I was training with like the PDL team at the time. But the PDL team was gonna face the Roma team. Yeah. But like, I don't know, whatever, like they said like I didn't sign a waiver. They realistically couldn't let me play in that game. So I wasn't, and I was gonna go into the training session with the Roma coaches after. But I came early to watch the PDL team play. And like, it's Roma, so they have all the legends there still, like Totti's there. Back when Nainggolan was like one of the top players, he's there. Kevin Strootman, Dutch international, he's there. And I'm watching these guys train. And like, I wasn't on the field, but I'm like, I practiced with this team that they're playing with, so I could be on the field with these guys. So it's like in my head that I'm like I can do this. But then it's also like you see them play and you realize like, holy shit, like I'm so far off of it. Like I was a great player in Massachusetts, and like I did well, you know, like ranking wise in the country, but I was nothing compared to the world. And for every me, I guarantee there's 30 of me that don't get the chance to get out of the favela in Brazil. You know, like I'm not that special in terms of like, I'm really good, but like there's so many players better than me. And I think that if you interview other athletes, I mean, especially soccer players, they'll be like, yeah, I'm lucky to be in the position I'm in, but I know people that were older than me that were better, that were younger than me that were better, that just didn't really get the opportunity that I got, you know? And like in whatever professional athlete, you know, space you do, like you could be great, you could be amazing, but you still need a lot of luck. You know, like there's guys that I know that were much better than me who quit before me. And then there's guys that I thought like, oh, he's not that good. And now they're professionals and they play XYZ, you know? But seeing the players was definitely like a part for me where it's like, all right, if I could see it and I can like, they're against me, if I could like play against them, like touch them, I'm like, okay, I'm here. Like if you share the same field with me, we might be really different. We can't be that far apart because we're on the same field.
You never know.
You never know, exactly.
You never know.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's always a possibility,
Yeah.
you know, and I don't want that to like bring regrets,
Yeah.
you know, because that didn't happen, you know, because I think regret runs deep sometimes, especially if what you wish to happen didn't happen in the time, like because you miss out on that time, you know. I always in my position and the things that I do, I always say like, you know what, there's always a tomorrow, you know, there's always a next time, because if there's no next time, why is life exist, you know? That's what I always think. But there's one question I wanted to ask you. I know you play soccer and everything like that, and I know like you could have choose any other position, but you chose to be a defender. So, you know, what made you choose that position?
I'd say the biggest thing is that when I was either 10 or 11, I had knee surgery, like pretty major knee surgery. So before, like when I would play around Medford, I was always, I mean, we were younger, so the field, like the number of players on the field is different. So like positions always change. But I was like a midfielder, a winger. I could play striker. Like I never really did. Like we had other guys, like one of my best friends, Owen, amazing striker, you know, like much better at any attacking thing that I could do. But I could play like a good support to him on the wing, put in crosses, you know, like we were good friends, so I understood how to play with him. Like there was another kid at the time, Cam Kelly, who was a better striker than I was, you know. So I was never like the main guy on any of my youth teams, but like I was like an important player and like, okay, I'm a good midfield player that would assist them. But the real reason I ended up playing defender was because when I was 10 or 11, I had knee surgery. So my patella, it was like a freak accident. Like my kneecap went out, it dislocated, and then it came back in. So then the cartilage that your knee sits on, it like chipped a piece off. So I remember like as a kid, obviously like my knee hurt, but like, you know, like any person would do, you just think like, all right, just gotta take a couple of days off, ice it, and it'll be good.
Heal.
Yeah, so this probably all happened within the span of a week. And my knee had hurt before then, but I wanted to keep playing, you know, like, yeah. And I mean, that's one thing my dad always talks about. He's like, oh, I wish I could
How old were you at that time?
10 or 11.
10.
Yeah, I was super young. So it was like a freak accident. Like you don't know about like knee ligament strength when you're 10, especially when you're playing like town and club around here. But freak accident. So I'm thinking like I just need to rest, ice, like I'll be good. So I had a bum knee before, but then I kept playing. This ended up happening. And I remember one day, well, I don't really remember. My parents tell me more so than I remember. But I remember the pain. One day I wake up in my bed and I'm just screaming. Like I've never been in such excruciating pain before. And my parents are like freaking out. They're like, God, we have to take him to the hospital. So I don't know if we went to a smaller doctor first, but eventually we went to the Children's Hospital in Boston, and they had like a sports medicine department. So we go to the main Children's, they check me out. They're like, okay, we're gonna give you an appointment today at this place across the street. So I go across the street, I go see the specialist there, and they're like, XYZ happened, you need to get surgery tomorrow. And I was like,
That quick.
Because it's like, there was cartilage floating in my knee, and I'm no doctor, but from what I understand, like, the cartilage could like get bigger if it's floating, or because it's just like floating in your knee. Also, like, the longer you take to put it back in, the more foreign it is, your body might reject it. So like they were trying to get it screwed in. So they put 2 screws in my knee. They like disintegrated because technology is amazing. But like they had to screw the cartilage back into my knee, and then I had to heal. But they had to do it right away. So I'm sitting there. I think I'm in like 6th grade. We're going into like the 4th quarter of school, and they're like, yeah, like you can't. You're not supposed to be like on your knee. It's probably not good for you to be moving around. Thankfully, my parents always were hard on me in school, you know, like, you know, Haitian upbringing, school is important. So they were always on me on school, and they just let me, they were like, look, your kid's fine. Like, he does all of his work. He's a smart kid. I think I was in like the more advanced math class at the time. So they were like, look, like, he's good for this quarter. He can just not go to school. Like, so I didn't go to school for the last quarter, and I was, outside of like only having one leg, I loved it. Like, I just played like Minecraft and 2K all day. like I would start the day.
Freedom.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'd start the day, you know, like I'd eat a little bit, I'd crutch over to my living room, I look through all my games. What do I want to play today? Modern Warfare, Grand Theft Auto, 2K. I played 2K, all my video games. And then all my friends that were at school would come home and they're like, all right, let's play Minecraft. I'm like, I don't have to do homework, so let's play.
Yeah,
I'm sitting on a machine that like bends your knee. I'm like laying back on my couch just playing Minecraft for like 5 hours a day. And I'm like, all right, we'll get up and do it again tomorrow. So even though it was definitely like a crazy thing to happen, I don't really look back on that period and think like, why me?
Yeah,
and like that's one thing my dad has always said. He's like, I don't really know. I don't understand how you did it, because like if that happened to me in that position, I'd be thinking like, I was doing so well. Like, why is this happening to me? Like, I have a freak knee accident. But I was just like, all right, like I can't wait to play Minecraft,
Yeah.
And then my surgery went well and everything went well. And then when I came back, my best friend Owen was like, hey, I played the remaining season of Town. And this was right before we went into high school, I think. Because it took like a year plus to recover from the injury. So I think I had the injury when I was 11. I didn't start playing soccer until I was like 13, like actually playing. Like I played Town, but like it was kind of like touch and go. But then I was like, okay, my knee feels good. I can actually play. And I got back to playing like club when I was 13, which is like right at the start of my freshman year of high school. So I remember I went to the club practice and the coach was like, where do you play? And I was like, midfield, like defense, because I was good on the ball. So he ended up just putting me at defense, was like, look, you're good on the ball and you could be like a vocal player. And this really shaped me. And he's actually the coach that I ended up having later in life when I went to BC. But he was like, you're good on the ball, like the players around you respect you. I need you to like speak more and talk more and direct the game. So I'm not the loudest person off the field, but if you heard me on the field, you'd think I'm just like the psychopath, because I'm like, ball, like time, like turn, like directing everything, trying to make sure everyone's in the right spot. But then I'd come off the field and I wouldn't say anything for the rest of the day. But he was really the main reason. Like, I didn't really think of myself of this position as well. I was just happy to be playing again, and I was doing well and I felt confident, so it just stuck. And then as I got healthier and more used to it, like I just kept getting better and better in the position, and then that's what it was. But even when I played, like everyone's like, you don't play center back like a center back, like not as much when I went to college, but like when I was playing academy, I was doing like crazy stuff. Like I'd be doing like step overs, like Maradonas, like I would like to say nutmegging people. I didn't really nutmeg that many people. Maybe I should just say it for the podcast, right? Boost me up. But no, I was doing crazy stuff. And I didn't play like a regular center back because I wasn't kicking the ball out. I hated kicking the ball out. Like I wanted to be like the center back that like we pass through everything and then we go up. And thankfully, like my coaches agreed, and the players that I played with all played that way. Because like I played with like a lot of like South American, Central American kids around here. So like none of them just like kick the ball up and like want to do headers. Like they're like, no, you want to do step overs. Like same with Haiti, like you almost want to like disrespect the guy that you're playing against. It's not enough to just beat them. Like you want to really show them that I'm much better than you. Yeah. So like I like that. And then basically back to like Ronaldinho, like that was my idol, So like Ronaldinho doesn't play like pass here, go, run, like he's got flair, he's got personality, and I liked playing with personality. So that's how I ended up settling on center back, and it's probably one of the best decisions I made, soccer was. Yeah, okay. So now that like you had your surgery, and then, so are you a lefty? Righty, and it was on my right foot too.
Huh.
Yeah.
So playing for, did you play for both Duke and Boston College?
Yeah. So I started at Duke and then I transferred to Boston College.
Okay. Nice. Did you like Boston College better, as in like the curriculum that they had?
I wouldn't say my decision of transferring really had to do much with school at all. I think that, and I people always ask me, like the first thing that whenever someone hears that, they're like, oh, like why'd you leave Duke? Yeah. And I mean, it's just the circumstances that I was in there. I just don't think I'm not saying it was a bad place. I loved my time at Duke and I loved the people I met there, and I still have respect for my coaches, but I just didn't see it as a environment where I would be the best version of me. I hear. And I think that my take on things is that for you to be the best version of you, you need to be in an environment that also matches you. And it doesn't matter if that environment to other people would be the best environment in the world. it's not the best environment for you, and it's your life. So I love Duke, and I think Duke was a great environment, but at that time, soccer-wise, and my focus at this time was definitely soccer, I don't think it was the best environment for me, soccer-wise, to do what I wanted to do. And then when I came to BC, I never really say like, oh, which one I like better, because it's too complete, it's apples to oranges.
Yeah.
Like Duke, I did my freshman year there. Freshman year of college, it doesn't matter where you are, it's unique.
Yeah.
You know, it's even compared to your other years. If you stayed at one school for 4 years, your freshman year is unique to the other 3 years. Then I had my sophomore year, which like halfway through my sophomore year, I knew I was leaving. So then again, like you can't really compare that to other years because like the circumstances of that year aren't the same. And I mean, just from a base point, like both of the places are unbelievable places. You know, like I feel very blessed to be in both because if it weren't for me playing soccer, I'm not going to Duke and I'm not going to Boston College.
Yeah.
So like on some level, I don't even really like to think about, oh, which one I like better. I'm just thankful that I got to experience both.
Yeah.
You know, because if you told me at any point growing up, or especially after having cracked my knee open and them telling me like, oh, you probably won't play sports, let alone high-level sports again, that I would get to be a student athlete at Duke and Boston College, two of the best schools in the country, I would snap your wrist off and be like, yeah, I'll take it. So I don't think it's makes sense to, now that I'm in this position, I think that's kind of always how you go. Like you get to a new position, you're like, okay, this is now the baseline and I want to punch up. But like, even still, like I don't think that it really makes sense to be like, oh, you know, this place was this and this place was this, because like both places were amazing. Yeah. And both come up in creating the person that I am now. So I don't like to put one over the other. They're both amazing in what they did for me.
Yeah. No, I do agree with that, because I think your upcoming, like whatever path you went to is pretty much like is what will build what you are today. And I agree with that, because if you didn't choose those paths, I don't think, I can't say that, because the thing, maybe it might be a different path. I can't say like you never know what will be in today, but like it might be a different, you know, you might have been somebody else, maybe not a defender, maybe, you know, they might have tell you to be, you know, an attacker, or maybe a lateral,
like a
left side, left wing. Sorry, I'm using the Creole language, because that's what they call it. They call it lateral droite, lateral gauche, and I'm thinking it's the same thing, but no, it's a left wing, right wing. But you mentioned earlier when I was speaking with you, you mentioned that like you had another injury while playing. Was it through school, or was it?
So when I was playing I only played, so when I started high school, I played for the high school team. And I did my first 2 years for the high school team. And when I started high school, I was younger than everyone, because I started high school when I was 13, and like I'm born in October, so everyone's at least like 4 or 5 months older than me. But the injury I got it with my academy team. So after my sophomore year, I stopped playing for my high school team, and then I transferred to the Bolts Academy team, and we were playing at one of the showcases in Florida, and I did really well the first year I came there, but then I was doing really, really well the second year. Like we had one of the best defenses in the academy, and I was getting really close to a national team, like a youth national team spot. So when we went to the showcase, like I knew that, like this was my senior year. So your senior year is the first year that like, I think it's like something like September 2nd of your senior year. That's when colleges can start speaking to you. So this is like really like the go time, you know, like this is college recruiting your junior year, excuse me. So college recruiting had just happened the year before. And I was committed to Duke at that point, and also like I was doing really well just like on the soccer scene, and I was getting close to a national team call up. So they were like, look, you're playing against this kid is on the national team. If you do well against these kids in these 2 games, like you will get a call up to the next camp. So I'm just like, that's all I need to hear. My focus is destroying these kids so I can get called up to the next camp, and that's all I was thinking about. But I think you play 3 games there, but I'm playing against this team. And at the showcases, it's like, I never thought of it as stressful, because I feel like it's like you either do it or you don't, but like there's no fans at the showcase games. It's the parents of the kids there, all the colleges that are recruiting any of the kids there, and the national team people. So if you're doing well and you're playing a good team, literally you won't see your parents. You'll just see polos of different schools.
Different schools, yeah.
So you have Duke here, Stanford here, UNC's here, you know, maybe BC's over here, and that's all you see on the sideline. So you're focused on the game, but then you go take a throw in, and you look at the Stanford coach right in your eyes, and you're just like, oh, better not mess this thrower up, you know. And then same thing with the national team guys. Like the national team guys who wear like the national team polo, they have like a little tent set up. So you know that they're watching.
They're there, yeah.
And if you know the national team people, you know like, okay, this guy's head of this guy's head of this. So depending on who the more important people are, like you know that they're watching, you know it's a big opportunity. So I see all of them there on the sideline. I'm just thinking like I need to go. But I still don't know what the injury like was to this day because I had it for so long that like it probably changed into other things. But I think I had torn my groin in one of the games. And it hurt, but like you have so much adrenaline that you're just like, no, like I have to finish this. And I'm thinking national team call up in the back of my head, you know? And that's a different level in soccer. Because like when you're playing international at any level, you're playing literally the best of the best. Mm-hmm. So I want to break into that. So for me, I can be like, I'm one of the best of the best. And then from a competitive standpoint, I want to play against the best of the best because that will make me better. So I'm not even thinking about this pain I have in my groin. I'm thinking like, this is what you have to do to get to be the best, you know? Like,
is that when you took soccer serious at that time, or was it like before?
I think I always liked playing, and I think I think like when you see what you could get out of it, that's when it kind of switches. Okay. Like, obviously playing soccer is fun. But when you think about, oh, now I'm an international, now I can maybe use this to pay for college, it's still fun, but it's not the same. It becomes like a job and it becomes like something that like really consumes you outside of it. Like it's not like I'm going to Playside Park now and I'm kicking a ball with my friends and that makes me have fun and that also helps me become a better soccer player. Like it's not fun like that anymore. It's like, it's fun to do well because you know doing well means that you can get a call up, you can go to college, you can try other things, you know? So I'd say, just around high school, like when it starts, like when you start having like different levels of like freshman, JV, varsity, that's when I took it serious.
So after getting your scholarship, like what came in mind? Like what did you have in mind for the next step of your life?
I would say this is something that my parents and like the people around me who didn't play soccer really helped me with. Cause like obviously I know I'm going there, like I know what I have to do soccer wise, but I don't think I quite understood, you know, the opportunities that you could have at a place like Duke or at a place like BC. And I still think, even my friends as much too, but I still think I didn't make. Like looking back on it now, I always wish I did more. I feel like that's just kind of the person I am. But I mean, immediately when I went to Duke, I was like, all right, like I have the scholarship here to play sports, but it wouldn't be a smart thing for me to do to not also make the most of the connections you can make academically as well. So I think my biggest thing when I went to either one of the schools was like, yes, play soccer and do everything you want to do in soccer, but like, if there's any ideas that you have outside of playing soccer, and I feel like that's one thing that I've always thought about for myself is that like, obviously don't get me wrong, I love playing soccer, it's what I've done for most of my life, but like, I think I can do other things outside of playing soccer too. So like right when I got that,
like what?
Like I think that like, if I ever need, like I never really saw myself as a soccer player that's like, okay, if I didn't play soccer, I would have nothing. You know, like I'm interested in like business things. You know, whatever business could take me, maybe it's like some sort of soccer related business. It's not necessarily me playing soccer, but how to make money around the game. Yeah, maybe coaching, maybe you set up your own place to do training. Like you do individual training, maybe you know, I've always been into psychology. I really want to get into sports psychology, you know, and you could offer some sort of training, but then you could also give kids, advice in sports psychology because like, look, there's a lot of kids like me that are in these schools that, and this isn't a fault of my parents or anything, but my parents don't know anything about being an athlete in a school, you know, like, and there's probably a lot of parents across all the sports that like, they know that their kid's good at the sport, but like, they don't know what it actually entails for their kid to be a student athlete, because being a student athlete isn't easy all the time. Like, there's a lot of fun things that you can do, and I would love my experience, and I would say, like, overall it was very fun, but like there's a lot of things that weren't fun at all that, like, I'm obviously not going to just come out and talk about all the time, but like you have to do some really hard stuff too. And I think that, like, it's always harder figuring that out when it's only you figuring that out. Like, say I was 15 or 16 and I had a coach or a guy that did what I did and was like, yeah, this is what you're going to experience, this is what you're going to have. And then it's also like, I think of a sports psychologist. Like, I ended up seeing a sports psychologist while I was at Duke, especially during the times where I was transferring. But I was pretty hesitant to do it just from, like, I mean, in my background, like, when I'm talking to my parents or I'm talking to my family, like, my problem is something that you keep in-house, you know? Like, you go to your parents for the problem, you might go to your sister, but you don't want to start adding outside people from different circles into making your decisions. And I think that when I was transferring, that was the first time I ever seeked, like, outside help to, like, figure out kind of what was going on there. And I'm like, hey, like, this isn't bad, you know? And, like, there's been a bigger wave of, like, concern about mental health. And I think that especially in immigrant communities, like, you need more of those conversations because everyone's struggling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I just think some people talk about it more than others.
Yeah.
So I think that, like, maybe that's another offering that could go with business, or just, like, you're into fashion, you're into music. Like, it's not only, soccer's the thing I do most, but, like, there's so many things that I want to do. And I think that while I was at Duke and while I was at BC, like, if there were things in there, if there were interests that I had, and I knew that the school had something that could help me either progress the interest or look into the interest, like, I tried to look into it. And that wasn't always on the field, but then also on the field, like, you want to make the most of all the facilities that you have. So yeah. I have soccer coaches, or I have my coaches that thankfully one of them has played in the U.S. national team. Like, you can ask him questions about that. Like, I personally didn't that much, but, like, you can ask them things like that. You have sports strength and conditioning guys that, like, for me, like, I came in 5'11"-ish, 6 foot, and really, really skinny. Like, I was like 150 pounds my freshman year, going up against, like, there's a guy in my position. Like, for example, like, I had a teammate, our captain at Duke. He's like 6'4", 200+ pound Norwegian guy going up against me. Like, that's completely different. So, okay, I need to work on the physical side of my game, you know, like, and you have some of the best strength and conditioning people here. You need to pick their brain, you know. It's sports psychology. You know, Duke was lucky enough to have a very established sports psychology department and a great sports psychologist who has since passed away, but was an amazing person. You need to pick your brain there. They have academic resources. Like, it, in anything where if it's playing soccer or just academics, it kind of, you get what you put in. You know, you get out what you put in. So it's like, why not immerse yourself in everything? You're just trying to be like, hey. Like, really get to know your surroundings, because I think college is one of the last times that, like, people will just give you that information for free. You know, like, if you got out into the real world now, like, people will tell you stuff, but, like, take my class, you know, like, pay me X amount of money and I'll give you my expertise. But in college, like, I can go to a professor, a department head, and be like, hey, I'm interested in this, and they'll be like, oh, I'm so happy you came in. And then you have a dialogue.
I mean, that's good, because you not a lot of people like you would use these, you know, what's the word I'm looking for?
Resources?
Yeah, they would use these resources. As you know, it's free, but I mean, at the same time, you have to figure it out on your own. That, like, hey, if I don't ask questions, I won't get what I need. And I think that's what a lot of people failed. And also too, I also think, like, the more advice you get from people that surround you, or wherever, whether you're at work or in college or in school, like in high school, the more knowledge you get, which means, like, you can kind of, like, figure out what your decision would be in a way. Like, let's say, like, you can be like, okay, I remember Robert told me if I do this, this is where it'll lead me. But I also remember Julia told me like, if I do this, this might be a good opportunity too. So kind of like do like a percentage in your head, saying like, okay, I think if I follow this advice, I think I will be a better. But at the same time, it's all like a numbers game, kind of like in a way. But the thing is, the outcome is however you want the outcome to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, you fail, that's okay. You can try again, because what's to lose? It's just time you're losing.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, as long as you don't lose your motivation behind it, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't let that, you know, make you step back a little bit out of, and then you be like, you know what, I'll give up 100%. But as long as you know, like, you have like you know, not just motivation, but like you're not afraid of like stepping out of your comfort zone to test the waters.
And I think that you definitely feel that at a place like that, where it's like the main reason I said I got into Duke was soccer. Like, everyone at that place is there for some sort of crazy reason.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, that's kind of one of the things I really liked about the environment there. Same with BC. It's like, people are like hustling. It's not the same hustle that you're doing. But it's kind of inspiring to be in a place where you like feel the hustle. Like, I always talk about that, like, going to New York now. Like, I feel like any person who walks around New York can feel that, like, maybe you don't know what's going on, but like, people are like doing things and things are getting done. Like, cars are beeping, people are moving fast. Like, there's a timetable to things. Yeah. And I think, like, being in that environment, like, you also feel like, okay, like, what's my timetable? What do I want to get done? Like, this kid is doing this crazy research problem. That's so cool. Like, I need to ask him more about this, you know, like, and it's just an environment where it's like, it doesn't matter what you're doing, but just like, do it well, hustle, and be the best that you can be. And I liked being in spaces like that where it's like about ambition, trying to get to the next level.
No, I agree with you.
Because there's plenty of schools that aren't like that as well.
And
no,
of
meet
course.
Plenty of people that are just kind of comfortable doing it, and that's fine. You know, like, I'm not saying that you need to always be like, I need to get to this next benchmark and this next benchmark. But if you are a person that's like that, it is kind of nice to be in settings where like, other people are also doing the same.
There's another question. I know, like, you in the soccer field, and my thing is, like, if you ever had the opportunity to play for, like, let's say, like, international or for the MLS, what would your decision be? Would you be like, it's for the taking, I'll take it, or would you be like, no, I need a little bit more practice to get better?
I think that you should always at least try to do the harder thing.
Yeah.
Like, if you do the harder thing and you fail, then it's fine. You can just go back to what you were doing before.
Yeah.
But I think that if you don't take that opportunity, then you give yourself a space to say, like, oh, well, what if I took that opportunity? And I hate what ifs. Like, I'd rather do it and then be like, you know what, I did it, but now knowing what I know, maybe I should have done this instead of this. And like, there are always going to be what ifs. So I guess, like, you can't really solve the problem of the what if, but I don't want a what if of indecision.
Yeah.
I don't want a what if of like, oh, you know, I could have gone here and this would have been a bigger risk, and I could have gone here and maybe this would have been a bit safer, but I stayed right here in the middle. I feel like that's pointless. You know, like, if you have an opportunity that comes up, there's nothing bad of it that can come from saying no, right? If you say no and say you don't like it, then you could just, like, say, I always talk to my friends about, like, moving to a different place, right? And I think Boston's an amazing place. But I'm also like, I've been in Boston forever. You know, like, I feel like
that's what you know.
You know it, and it's very comfortable, and it's a great place to live. But like, why not go somewhere else, whether it's within the country, you go abroad, and say you go to, like, I don't know, New York, and you don't like New York. Okay, you can always move back to Boston. Yeah. Like, it's not that big a deal. You know, like you said before, like, the only thing that you have with any of these experiences is you're just, I guess, losing a bit of time.
Yeah.
But then it's like, okay, if I went from New York and I didn't like New York, well, now I appreciate these 3 things about Boston more. So even though you went away and you didn't like the experience of New York, it only made the experience of what you thought you liked, or now what you know you like of Boston, even stronger. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. That's just growth.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agree. So I know that's another what if questions again. So like, if which league would you ever want to play for?
I would love to play. I always wanted to play in La Liga when I was younger, just because it's such a nice.
I thought we were gonna say the Haitian team.
Oh, well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
No,
I mean,
because hold on, because the reason why I'm saying that is because you're a Haitian American.
Yeah.
So like I thought like you would say something like that, but I mean there's nothing wrong with like not choosing the Haitian team, But I just thought that's something you would say. But I mean, not gonna say the Haitian team is not that better. You know what I'm saying? Like I do think like there's better things that they could do. You know what I'm saying? Like as in like, better. Like I was talking to you off camera earlier. Like better sponsorship. You know what I'm saying? Like better promotion. You know what I'm saying? And I think like they're not in that space yet to be like that team that they're trying to be. But yeah, I want to know more about like
La
team.
Liga.
Yeah, La Liga.
Like, so La Liga's got like Barcelona, Real Madrid, and I think that's just what I watched the most of when I was young.
Okay.
Like, obviously I watched like England and like the Premier League teams. Like, I remember when I was really young, on Comcast, for whatever reason, they had like the German league, just like a recap show of it. And because it was free on demand, I would just watch that all the time. So I knew so much about the German league. I mean, I guess I never specifically thought of a league. I just wanted to be in Europe. But I'd say out of all of those, like when I was coming up and when I was growing up, like La Liga just seemed like it was it. Like they played beautiful soccer. All the teams, not just Barcelona and Real Madrid. I feel like all the teams tried to play. And because of Messi and Ronaldo, it just seemed like that was the top.
That team.
And then like, there's no one that plays soccer or even sports that hasn't heard of Barcelona and Real Madrid. They're like staples of soccer. And it's like,
I agree.
If you're on either one of those teams, it doesn't even now when Barcelona is not as good. Like you still know that that's a top team. Like you'll have guys from Man City, which is the best team in the world now. That's still, even after they win everything at Man City, every club competition they could win, they still want that piece of their soul. That's like, it's always been my dream to play for Barcelona or Real Madrid.
In what way your supporters or you would want people to support you? Like
in soccer or just like
like in your professional like what would you like anybody to do, like anybody who's watching this video when it comes out, like what support would you want them to provide to create that path for you?
I mean, I think my soccer career has kind of come to like kind of like a crossroad, just because like I've had so many injuries, and I think that like I kind of said before, I love playing soccer, but I don't always think I need to play soccer. And currently, I feel like I'm at a space where I'm like, you know what, like I'm kind of comfortable to walk away a little bit. You know, like I finished college. College was great. Played soccer. Unfortunately, my whole college time was taken up by like injuries. Like I had knee surgery before I went, or like when I was like 10. Like I tore my groin the winter before going into college, right? So that was like winter of 2016 going into 2017. I didn't play soccer my first 2 years at Duke. Like I went to practice,
But you just couldn't.
but like I couldn't. There were some weeks where I'd maybe practice like twice, you know, maybe not practice at all. You know, like I had to get injections, like just to kind of numb the pain. So even when I was practicing, these guys are good players, very good players. Like you're not gonna really break into the team if you're playing on one leg, you know? Like I could have been completely healthy, still maybe not get into the team, you know? But like you're definitely not getting into the team if you're only playing on one leg. So then I transferred from Duke in 2019. I came to BC in 2019, and then I had to sit a year because if you transfer within conference, they've since gotten rid of that rule. If you transfer within conference, you have to sit. So 2019, it's not that it took away from my eligibility, I just couldn't play that year. So 2019, the year finishes, then we get to 2020, pandemic happens. So now I've finally gotten to the point where I'm cleared to play, like I'm healthy enough, I'm starting to get good repetitions. Pandemic hits, we don't have a season that fall. So there's like a almost 3 to 4 year period where it's like, whether it's through injury or just like misfortune, like I'm not really playing soccer. And like, you'd be a crazy person not to start thinking of other things to do during that time, you know? So, but then thankfully after the pandemic, like I'm healthy, I'm playing again. And then I was playing this past season, and then I tore all the ligaments in my ankle, or not all, but there's 3 ligaments in your ankle. I tore 2 of them. And that's in not this past October, but the October before that. So then of course, like my season's over. We didn't make it to the postseason. So I'm just like, screw this. Like, yeah. I don't want to, firstly, be in pain. Like I remember I go fall on the kid's ankle. I just hear it. And then I'm like, all right, my season's done. And like, it didn't hurt bad at the time, but like I can feel my leg like pulsing because all the blood is going down to my ankle. And of course I go to the side bench, like, I wasn't like crying or anything. It hurt, but like I wasn't crying. Just like not really. I was like cracking jokes and stuff. But then when the adrenaline wore off and we got back to the locker room, I was like, Jesus Christ. Like I could, you know when like you get up too fast sometimes it makes you lightheaded? Yeah. Like I would have that because all the blood in my body is just going to my ankle once I stand up. Like it was so painful. And of course I'm thinking like I'm 23 now. 23-year-old rookie, plenty of major injuries, like maybe it's time to walk away. But like I said, like I take inspiration from people I know doing things. And you know, if I see my friends, if I see my peers, like they're signing, they're playing for teams, I'm like, yeah. I've come back from injuries, I've come back from worse injuries, I'll do it one last run, and that's what I did this year. And I went on trial with a couple teams, and it was fun, and it was good to get to see that level, but I know I'm not at that level anymore. You know? And that's fine. Like I did what I did, wouldn't replace any part of my journey. Like I'm just not there. And it's not that like I think that, okay, like obviously you can train, you can maybe get there. Like I've done it once, I can try and do it before, but it's also like you have like real world factors that are coming in now. Like I can't just train and play soccer. You know, you gotta make money every now. Yeah. And then when you put into perspective, okay, you have a degree from BC, you know, you have 2 degrees from BC, it's like, what is the better thing to focus on? Because even in my best case scenario as any soccer player, this isn't just specific to me, anyone that plays professional sports, it's like, I think the average time that you play is probably like what, between like 5 or 6 years at the highest level, and then let's say like 85% of players, you're still gonna have to have a job after you're a professional. Yeah. So when I really think about that, I'm like, all right, well, I understand I'd love to be playing soccer, but like in terms of like earning potential, it probably makes sense to walk away. And then I think another thing about high level sports, I can't speak on professional sports because I've never been a professional athlete, but like playing in college is fairly similar. And it's like, it's also very exhausting, like continually proving yourself that you have to be, you know, one of the best 11. Like it's really hard, and you don't think about it while you're playing, but it's really hard to come to practice every day and be like, I need to be the best or I'm not going to play. And then maybe now you're a professional, so you're getting paid to do it. What if you have a kid? And it's like, you look at your kid and you're like, I need to play to survive, but I've got 3 guys ahead of me on this position. I'm on a 1-year contract with an option. They might not pick up my option, then what do I do? You know, and it's like, I'm not in that position, but I think about that and I'm like, no part of that is fun. No part of that is enjoyable, you know? And when I think about that things, I'm just like, look, like there's other things that I can do with my life that like, maybe it won't be soccer. And you know, maybe I'll always have a part of me that's slightly bitter that I didn't make it, but it's okay. Like no one could take away what you achieved before. And it's still fulfilling to see guys that, you know, like there's a guy that we played against on Syracuse that just signed for Inter Milan. And I'm just like, oh, dude, like that's unbelievable. And it's not that I think like, oh, you know, why is he playing for Inter? He's not that good. It's unbelievable. So he definitely was that good. But it's like, instead of being frustrated that it's him instead of me, you just be thankful that like you got to share the field with this guy. Yeah. And I have so many experiences, thankfully, of guys that I've met around the country, around the world that are amazing guys that brought me together for soccer. So I think it would be in bad taste to look at everything that's happening and only say like, oh, you know, I'm mad I didn't make it. Like I got to experience unbelievable things. Got to go to some unbelievable parts of the world, all because of the sport. So it's like, okay, you can channel that into other things and see what else you can do. So I think that's where I'm at. And if someone wanted to support me, well, firstly, thank you. And secondly, just kind of keeping opportunities out. Like, if there's something that you think I could do well, or if there's any way that I can help you, I'm always happy to have conversations. So reach out. You know.
I mean, I do like that mindset because I think you think ahead of time, which is good because I think like there's a lot of, let's say like if you were an American football player, right? All your injuries will mean like you're out of the game forever, and you won't be coming back. Yeah. So I think you use that to your advantage. You'll be like, hey, if I need to quit this, I know what I need to do next, which is like, you know, look at another, you know, another set of like professionalism to do, and which is good because majority of you know, professional athletes, they don't think that. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's say like majority of football players, right? You know, they'll mostly go bankrupt, and then the contract is over, and no one's signing them anymore. Or let's say like they're retiring now, they don't have anything, and let's say like they never really actually got a degree. So football was like their way out, and now they're sitting wondering like what should I do?
Or where it went wrong.
Exactly, and majority of their money went either in gambling or anything like that. So to have that mindset is at your age is very high, you know, because not a lot of people would think that way. And it's good to be thinking about the future, especially if you have a child and things like that. Like you said, you know, as you know, like in life, it's always competition. You know, people may not think there's competition, but it is. You know, we always fighting for that job. We always fighting to get in college because not everybody goes. So you might have like I'm not saying not everybody go to college, but you might have like a specific college in mind that you want to go to, and you didn't get in. But that shouldn't mean like it's over. You know what I'm saying? That's a competition as well. You know, let's say like some contract you wanted to get in, you didn't get it in. But you know, I think that's what makes life unique. You know, because it's like you always have to compete regardless of what age or where you are. There's always something, and that's what I like about life. But I do have another question. So, if a younger you is watching this and wanted to know, like, and wanted to take a page out of your book, what message would you provide?
First thing I'd probably say is like, just be a good person. Like, you can get plenty of opportunities. Your talent can get you plenty of opportunities. But if people don't want to work with you in whatever capacity, if you're a bad teammate, if you're a bad coworker, a bad XYZ, like, you lower your own value. And I mean, I can't speak for other people. I don't think it's fun to be like mean. Like, no part of me feels like pride in being like, oh, like, I made this person have a worse day. So be a good person. Morally, just be upstanding and right. And just anything you do it to your best abilities. You know, like, anything that's worth doing should be done well. That's one thing my dad always said to me. And it's like, whether that's playing soccer, like if it's your name attached to it, your name's on the jersey, your number's on your back, like, play it like, you know, it could be your last game. That sounds cliche, but like, have pride in what you do. If you're handing in a piece of homework, have pride that you're handing in that piece of homework and you're doing it well. I'm not saying that I've done that at every aspect of my life, but when I look back, I'm like, you know what, like, if I just took the things that I did, like, nothing bad would ever happen from taking the things that you do seriously. And I'm not saying that to be like, you need to be a serious person at all times. Like, no, I don't think it's good to be a serious person at all times. But like, if you're actually gonna do something, do it. Don't do like an in-between measure, just do it. Because if you, like I always say, like, okay, you could shoot for the stars, but like, if you don't get to the stars, you might get to the moon, but maybe the moon's better than being on Earth. So like, because you shot for the stars, you can get to the moon.
You're somewhere.
You're somewhere. You're better than where you started. But if you just like, you know, you think you're too cool to do X, Y, Z, like, yeah, you'll probably stay on Earth.
Yeah. I mean, I do think people are a little bit too prideful in a way.
Yeah,
If
like
that
you're
makes
gonna
sense.
fail.
Yeah, no, not like gonna fail. As
Yeah.
in like you said, handing out the piece of homework, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're handing they're not like, I'm not saying like they're not taking it serious, but like they're not like, it's like just because it's a job,
Mm-hmm.
they're just doing it like, it's like people are not grateful. That's what I'm trying to say. Like they're doing something, they don't do it 100%. They do it 50%. They do it 60%. And I think, I'm not sure if it's like an American thing where like, because we have everything, at our advantage, like like at our reach. If we want to order food, we don't have to drive. We can just order an Uber. You know what I'm saying? But like if you look at like other countries, like let's say like a third world country, you look at it, you see it's totally different. You know what I'm saying? Like you see like those kids or those grown-ups over there, they have like something to live for, which is like they're always smiling. They know like they have to like put in the work. They know like if they don't do it, somebody else gonna do it better. I think here we have too much. We have a lot of variety. That's what we have, and we tend to take it for granted. And until we no longer have those varieties, and now that's when like our mindsets start to differ,
to shift.
You know,
I remember
exactly.
we were talking about off camera where it's
Yeah.
like Gene was saying that he took someone and they had just lost their eye. And I feel the same way with like injuries, in a sense where it's like you don't even think about how blessed you are to be playing and be playing healthy until you're unhealthy.
Yeah.
And then you're like, dang, like I would kill to have all the ligaments in my ankle.
Yeah.
Like I would kill to have a working groin.
Yeah.
But you only know that because you didn't have one.
Yeah.
So you like you said, I think you have to like, sometimes you have to just like sit back and appreciate. And I think I say this to my friends or some of my friends where I'm like, look, like you're so hard on yourself that you don't like appreciate what you're doing. But then, I mean, I do the same thing to myself where it's like, when I think about playing soccer, I only think about what I didn't do. Oh, I didn't get drafted. I didn't make it to this team.
Yeah.
You know, like knowing from where I'm from. But like at the same time, I'm like, wow, like how many people can say that they've been a part of Duke men's soccer? How many people can say that they've had a run playing the sport that they love and like having fun with so many friends? Like,
Yeah.
and I'll see guys like that I used to play with and like we'll go, not that I meant to see them, but it's like we'll run into them and like you relive some of those moments and you're like, dang, like I really didn't think about that at the time and since, but like that really was an amazing time we shared on the field. Or like, you remember when this happened? And it's like, yeah, you don't realize those things until you don't have them. So it's like, one thing I would definitely say to a younger version of myself too is like, enjoy the journey. Like, don't think about,
Yep.
oh, I need to be a professional soccer player here, because like you can do everything right and still not become a professional soccer player there.
Yeah. Like
know?
don't take the easy way out. Just take the time using the road that's meant for you.
Yeah,
you
exactly. And enjoy it too.
Yeah.
Like, don't only think about, okay, what do I have to do tomorrow? What do I have to do tomorrow? Sometimes
Agree.
look back and be like, wow, I got a lot done today. Pat yourself on the back for that. Because like, if you only think about what you don't have or what's coming next, like mentally it will just do you. Because like you'll never have enough.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
if you get a pair of shoes, all right, there's also that other pair of shoes you wanted. You know, if you ran a mile, oh well, I wish I could run too. And it's like, sometimes you just gotta slow down, like, and look at, okay, I got 30 pairs of shoes here and I love all 30 of them, and that's great. Like, I don't need the other 5 that's coming out. New shoes are gonna come out every week, every year, every day,
Yeah.
So you just kind of have to appreciate what you got sometimes. I'd
Agree.
say that would be a good message that I would give to myself, because I think especially when I was younger, I
Agree.
always worried about what I didn't have or what was coming or what other people had, instead of being thankful for what was in front of me sometimes.
So, if your supporters were to find you, let's say any social media, where can they find you?
Recently, I haven't really been on social media like that, so you will find me. It might take a little bit of time, but I have an Instagram that I go on pretty often. That's at the Kid Will with 1 L. I have a Twitter. I don't even remember what the name of the Twitter is. I don't go on Twitter.
We'll find it.
But yeah, mostly I just use Instagram, and that's the main way that I would talk with people, unless you catch me in real life, and then I'd always have a conversation with you. But the kid will for the Instagram.
You use Facebook as well?
I have a Facebook. I hop on it every so often. I don't really use it to talk to people, but I like looking at like Facebook Marketplace.
I agree.
Now, not to buy anything.
Thing.
I just like looking sometimes.
I do the same thing.
But
I do
yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, my brother, man, it was a pleasure to
Thank you for having
sit down
me.
with you. You know, especially to learn a lot from you, like especially with your surgeries, with what you went through, and what you're still going through. It was a pleasure to, you know, actually hear those things, and you have a good head on your shoulder.
Thank you, man.
You know,
I appreciate that.
and I think the future has a lot of possibilities.
Thank you. You guys have an amazing production here.
Yep.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored that you guys wanted to hear from me.
Of course.
And I wish you guys nothing but success in the future. I think that you guys got a good thing going here, and keep on going.
Same to you, my brother.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Well, you hear it, guys.
Beautiful.
Follow us. You know, stay tuned, and there's more coming. You never know what we got next.